I wanted to come on here and share something that God put on my heart. A lesson He's kind of taught me through His pregnancy. And so I'll just jump right into it. Before I do, I want to apologize for the horrible quality of this video. I am using my computer camera, and like I have nicer stuff to use, but I don't know. It's not working right now, so I'm just using my computer camera. It's horrible, but but that's not the point. So, anyways, I'll just jump right in. Cody and I were trying to get pregnant for a year before we got our miracle baby, as we call her, and I had always pictured what it would be like, feel like, to have our first child together, to be pregnant for the first time, what pregnancy would be like. And I had just seen a bunch of my friends go through pregnancy, so I didn't feel like I had super unrealistic ideas in my head because I'd just seen a bunch of people be pregnant. However, I think maybe we all fantasize a little bit, even if we have realistic examples in front of us. So I pictured being pregnant as this really awesome experience where, I'd have the funny cravings, but I would get to sit on the couch and eat them, and I would, be not waited on hand and foot, but get to be treated with a little bit more love than usual, and I would be able to kind of just focus on myself and focus on the baby that I was growing, and that would just be this wonderful, magical time. And pregnancy is a wonderful, magical thing, but I ended up getting thrown into it in rather unusual circumstances. And that's because 2 weeks before finding out that I was pregnant, we took in a 3-week-old premature newborn, our foster daughter, baby H. And so my first time mom pregnancy, I did not get to experience as a first time mom, or actual, even though it was my first pregnancy has been very much like as if it were my second, as far as the fact that I didn't get to just focus on me. I don't get to just focus on this pregnancy and taking care of myself because I have a newborn to take care of. And in the beginning of my pregnancy, I got a little bitter because of it. At first I was just super excited, but then a couple months in, usually only a couple weeks in, yeah, it wasn't very long after I found out I was pregnant that morning sickness really hit. And I thought, man, this sucks, but pretty much everyone gets it, except for I kept getting it, and it was getting progressively worse, and it was getting dangerous almost for my health. I was diagnosed with HG, which is short for a very long scientific couple of words that basically means extreme or severe morning sickness. And when I say extreme or severe, I mean like really bad. And just to give you a little bit of insight, a couple of examples. Every time I would have to feed baby H, which she fed about every 2 hours, I would have to stop feeding her in the middle of it to go throw up. Or if I did make it through her whole bottle, I would throw up when she threw up. So when she spit up, I had to clean up her spit up really fast, set her on the bed, or if Cody was there, or in the swing, or on the floor, and run to the bathroom because I was throwing up. Because her throwing up made me throw up. And it just kept getting worse, and I actually had to go to the urgent care twice. I actually went to the urgent care once, and then I went to the ER at the hospital the second time. And the first time going to the urgent care, I was really nervous because I was not feeling well. I'd been throwing up a lot. I couldn't eat. I couldn't really drink. I was just really nervous that I was going to get dehydrated and something bad was going to happen to my baby. And so I loaded up baby H in the car and we drove 40 minutes to the nearest urgent care. I guess it wasn't the nearest, but it was one that I knew was comfortable with. And so I drove the 40 minutes to the urgent care and got an IV as I was dehydrated. And so they're giving me fluids via IV. At the same time, I'm also taking care of baby H is about 3 months old at this point, and she's crying, she's hungry, and so I have an IV in this arm, her in this arm, trying to feed her, and she keeps squiggling and moving, and you're not really supposed to bend your arm that much when you have an IV, so I ended up messing up my IV and blood going everywhere, and having to call the nurse in to fix my IV, and then still trying to feed baby H because she's still hungry. She doesn't care that I'm dehydrated. She just knows that she wants food. And it was an ordeal. But I just kept going. I have a personality, and I was raised in an atmosphere which is that you just push through. You don't complain, like, you don't ask for help, you just get through it. And it's not like I was ever told that I shouldn't ask for help. I've been told plenty of times, like, ask for help when you need help. But I just never do. And so things kept getting worse. And I got to the point that a couple weeks after going to the urgent care, I had another really bad event. And it was actually the worst one that I ever had. I threw up for an hour straight. And I don't mean like I threw up and then like 5 minutes later I threw up again. I mean for an hour straight, all I did was vomit. I would have maybe a rest of like 30 seconds before I would start throwing up again. Max a minute in between vomiting. And this lasted for an hour. And it was so bad that I couldn't even stop or control myself to call anyone. And baby H was in the living room in like a swing or something, and she is crying because she's hungry, and she had a wet diaper, and she needed me to take care of her, but I physically could not leave the bathroom. And so finally, after an hour of throwing up, I flushed the toilet, I pulled myself up, my legs are shaky, I can't hardly stand. I'd thrown up so much and so violently that it hurt to breathe. My ribs, or not ribs, my core muscles hurt. It hurt to bend. I was just in a lot of pain. And so, but baby H needed me, so I get up and I go to make her a bottle, and I have to throw up again. And so I run over to the trash can and I throw up, and then I go back over to the kitchen sink to again try to make a bottle, and I just can't, and I just can't do it. I hit my wall, and I just dropped to the floor, and thankfully my phone was close by, and so I called Cody at work and told him that he had to come home, like, I need to go to the hospital, there's something wrong. And so he comes home to me just on the floor bawling my eyes out because baby H is bawling her eyes out, and I can't do anything, and it was just horrible, horrible. And then we had a horrible trip at the hospital. The hospital was not, I will never go to that hospital again. But that's besides the point. Anyway, so all of that made me really angry and really bitter because I was just mad. I was like, why? Like God, why? Why would you give me a pregnancy like this pregnancy? Why would I be given a newborn foster placement right before it? Like, why did all of this happen? And I was just so mad looking at all of my friends who had just had babies and their experiences. And then any time that I would kind of try to bring up like, oh yeah, like it's been really hard lately. I've been having some pretty bad morning sickness. I guess I underplay things, and so it's not anyone's fault so that I underplayed it, but they treated it like I underplayed it. So I didn't really get a lot of help, and people didn't really understand the extent of how miserable and defeated I was. So, anyways, fast forward halfway through, 20 weeks pregnant, and the morning sickness is starting to go away. I'm still throwing up here and there, but I want to say by 23 weeks, I was done. I threw up like maybe once a month, which was like no big deal. I was like, done, deal. After throwing up for hours on end, that was fine by me. Um, and so, but there we are. We're halfway through, and I'm thinking to myself, I have not enjoyed this at all. I don't like being pregnant, and I prayed and wanted this for so long, and I hate it. This was not fun. And I had so much guilt over that. I felt so guilty that I didn't love my pregnancy because I mean, I loved my baby. I knew I was gonna love her when she was born, but I just did not like my pregnancy, and I felt a lot of guilt and conviction over it. And so I kind of had a come to Jesus moment, and God kind of had to like sit me down and straighten me out and be like, look, like, you asked for this. You wanted to be pregnant. You wanted a child, and I gave you one. I gave you two. You know, yeah, it's different than how you thought it would look. It's different than what you had imagined, but it's still a gift that I gave you. And so I decided to change my perspective. And so for the rest of the pregnancy, I've really been focusing hard to be like, no, I'm going to love every minute I have left of this pregnancy, no matter how hard it is, no matter how exhausted I get, no matter how difficult it is trying to balance being pregnant and having a newborn. Like, no matter what, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this pregnancy. And I have. And earlier this week, I had some really, really bad hip pain to the point that I could no longer walk. I was in so much pain. But still, even once my husband got me to the bathtub to soak in Epsom salt to try to bring down some of the inflammation and pain that I was having, I still sat there just so in love and excited about the fact that I'm going to have a daughter soon. I'm going to have a baby girl to hold in my arms, and that this was all worth it. And which is such a mind shift from the first half of my pregnancy. And I share this because I feel like there's a lesson to be learned in it that God was teaching me, and maybe you'll get something from it too. And that's that this mindset change, this lesson is applicable outside of just being pregnant. It's applicable to every time God gives us something that we asked for, and how we react to it when his answer doesn't match our vision. So I prayed for a baby. I prayed to be a mom. And God made me a mom. He made me a mom to beautiful little baby H, who I did not birth, and we may or may not get to adopt. But until further notice, I am her mom. I have raised her since she was 3 weeks old. But that wasn't all that I wanted. I wanted to experience biological motherhood too, not just adoptive motherhood, which both are wonderful, but I wanted to have it all, and so God gave it all to me. And does it look like what I thought? No. When we got baby H, I thought, okay, awesome, like, this is the answer to our prayer. We'll have her, and then who knows, maybe we'll get pregnant in another year or something, and then they'll be really close in age, and we'll be perfect. And they are really close in age. They'll be 9 months apart. But anyway, so just making sure that when God answers our prayers, we don't get mad at him because he didn't answer them the way we wanted him to. When God answers our prayer, that we are just grateful for the answer, and that if it doesn't look the way we thought it would, that there's a reason, that there's something that he's going to teach us, or there's some way that he's going to grow us, or there's some testimony or some wonderful, intricate, complex thing that we can't understand that is going to come from his answer the way that his answer looks. Not the way that we think his answer should look, but the way that it does and the way that he's given it to us. And that things will look different than what we imagine sometimes. And we need to learn and make ourselves be grateful and learn how to embrace his answers in whatever form or way that they come, knowing that that is the best, that is the best plan because it's his plan, and to just soak it up and try to look at things through the lens of gratefulness and not through a lens of ungratefulness. So even though it was hard being as sick as I was, and it's still hard a lot of days, being 9 months pregnant and taking care of a 9-month-old, but I've chosen to change the glasses that I'm looking through. And so even though it's challenging, I'm so, so grateful because I know that this is what God had planned for me. And I know that while, yes, I don't get the typical entry into motherhood like all of my friends and family, and while my life looks nothing like what I thought it would, it's beautiful in its own way, and it's beautiful this way because it's the way God designed it and had it for me, and he picked me to live this life.